Would it surprise you if I said that waking up is really inconvenient and why your desire to fit in with everyone else and what everyone else is doing will stop you from further awakening? My name's Karen from karenturpin.com. This is my weekly energy kind of check-in. It's the 17th of April 2023 today. Now, we love it when everything in our life is easy and convenient and flows beautifully, don't we? Why should we work hard for something when we can have it via the easy path, the easy way? We as a society have been sold convenience, and we're very accustomed to everything being really convenient. At the touch of our fingertips, at the touch of a button, we can have pretty much what we want. We've been groomed, in a sense, to get accustomed to instant gratification for the most part. We can order something online and it can be with us within 24 hours, within 12 hours in some locations, thanks to Amazon Prime and things like that. We don't even have to go out to get our food anymore. We can get it delivered to our door. So we have been sold convenience and we kind of like it. Perhaps this is why we give up so easily as soon as we have to work a little bit hard for something, or as soon as something gets a little bit tricky. It's a little bit too hard. I will back out. Growing a business is not easy. Ask any small business, any entrepreneur, it's not easy. And many people give up at the first sign of a hiccup, at the first sign that they haven't got that growth that they want instantly. Social media hasn't really helped with that. We tend to look at profiles, and if they haven't got many followers, we kind of don't look at them either, because we think, oh, they can't be any good because they haven't got this massive growth, this massive amount of followers. Well, that's all manipulated. We really need to understand that and start looking behind that. I'll get more into that in a moment. But because we like everything so easy, this, I think, is why we tend to give up on our businesses. We give up on our relationships as soon as there's a hiccup. Crikey, even achieving a fitness goal, as soon as it starts to feel hard, we stop. Or changing our eating habits. You know, it's so easy to slip back into the same old program or way of being. It's actually quite difficult to become a new person. You can try to put your head into that space, but there's a weight of a programming of the way that you have always been. It's kind of like magnetic, and it will always pull you back there unless you're really strong-minded to move and create a new way of being for yourself. Anyway, we talk about this sense of entitlement that Gen Y and millennials have. They want everything for nothing, we say. They don't know what working hard for something really means because they've been given everything easily on a plate. Now, I don't want to get into a debate about whether there is truth to that or not, but I do say that I agree with that, in particular in terms of spiritual knowledge. I'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, the problem with us wanting everything easily and conveniently is that people grab at things without really looking behind the scenes, behind the veil, we could say, or without looking into the repercussions of what it really means. In my opinion, the convenience that they are offering, for the most part, is a trap. Let's talk about that on a physical level first, and then I will talk about that on a spiritual level afterwards. Now, remember the slogan, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." Classic WEF slogan. It's part of their agenda that they're ramping into very quickly. How convenient it would be for us, they say, if everything was within a 15-minute radius, like in a smart city. We wouldn't need cash, of course, because it's all on our phone. So we wouldn't have to risk losing it out of our pocket because it's on our phone. Could lose your phone as well. We have a convenient way of bypassing that. Let's put a chip into your hand, wrist, arm, wherever it goes. Put a microchip in your body. Then you could never lose your money, could you? And you have everything on your chip. Even your identification, your digital ID. So that's really convenient, isn't it? And what are the repercussions? Does anyone mention that? Usually not. Now, we won't have to grow food because it's all produced in a lab. We won't even have to raise cattle anymore because they're producing meat in a lab. It all comes out of a machine. So we can just swipe our hand or our phone and out pops out this little packet with this lab-grown meat or something strange. How convenient. Don't have to grow anything anymore. Now, we of course already have lots of convenience foods, all processed foods. You can look down any aisle in any supermarket and it's a whole row of processed foods in a box, in a tin, in a jar. It's got a long shelf life, so you don't have to worry. It won't go off ever. Anyway, it's devoid of life force. That's the problem. But don't worry, because they filled it with synthetic nutrients to keep you going. And it's so convenient. And you can throw it in a microwave and it cooks in seconds, and there you go. So convenient. It all contains the chemical building blocks, but with not a spark of life in it. Have we forgotten that everything that we put into our body either has a positive or a negative effect upon our health? That includes our thinking as well, what we put into our mind. Now, the choices we make for the sake of convenience have a long-lasting impact on our life. What we are willing to do for the sake of convenience, or for the sake of being able to travel, or go out to restaurants, or go to entertainment, or go to the shops. Every choice we make for the sake of the convenience of being able to do that has an impact upon our body and on our DNA. And for this, we pay the price in terms of our spiritual DNA. When we begin our spiritual awakening journey, our DNA begins to change. As we bring more and more higher frequencies into the body, there's a whole shift in the cellular structure of our body, actually. Our DNA begins to change and we evolve. You know, they talk about that junk DNA that means nothing. Well, that is our spiritual DNA. It's dormant. It's waiting to be woken up. And this is the time of the Great Awakening on the planet. So we're bringing in those frequencies. We're supposed to be shifting our consciousness to activate all of who we truly are. And within that so-called junk DNA is our memory, past life memory, ancient wisdom, our unique gifts and talents, our memory of living on other planetary systems in other dimensions. It's all there within us, waiting to be reactivated and integrated into our physical experience as we become more and more soul embodied. But here's the thing. When our DNA is tampered with through mRNA, for example, and gene technology, that awakening becomes much, much harder. And actually, any awakening that was there may begin to actually reverse itself out. Because this whole thing is about a reversal of life force, the reversal of the God code. So as we have awakened and then we start to do, make negative choices, let's say, the consequences of that is a destruction of the awakening within the DNA, that God code that we have already achieved. It starts to kind of reverse its way out, as I say. Often it can cause as well like a split in the levels of consciousness between the mind and the soul, etc. Sure, I'll talk more about that in another video. Anyway, spiritual awakening happens in stages. We have many spiritual awakenings on our path, on our journey. It's not just one spiritual awakening like many people claim. And to be honest, I find it a little bit frustrating, the way that many New Age teachers and spiritual coaches claim that they are awakened, when it is very obvious by looking at them energetically that really what they teach is just regurgitated from the books that they've read or what they've accessed on the internet, and it's not from a direct embodied personal experience. So it's not an embodied teaching, they are just really regurgitating. And we have to remember that not every single thing that we read is accurate or correct. And what is a correct experience for one person is not across the board for everyone, because we all need to do things slightly differently, because that's our genetic makeup, spiritual genetic makeup. So this is the problem when everything is so convenient at our fingertips on the internet or in a book, or for goodness sake, many people don't even read books anymore. They use Audible. Now, okay, I use Audible too at times, but I have many books too. But the thing is, it takes time, right, to sit and read a book and consider it and digest it and maybe journal on it, and maybe find that as you read something is triggered within you that you have to sit and process and understand more. That's how we really learn. But so much of the time people are just watching a video on YouTube and then they're taking it and spurting it out as if it were their own. That kind of frustrates me, and you can feel energetically the difference between a person who's had a real experience of that. People want fast growth these days. They don't want to sit with spirit and develop a proper connection and learn through that experience. People want quick, instant activations and out-of-body experiences through ceremonies and rituals. But honestly, they don't know, for the most part, what energies they are really engaging with. And it becomes like a playground, really, for the dark and mischievous entities. Sometimes, just because someone calls it a spiritual experience, it doesn't mean it's all light. You can have a spiritual experience with darkness too, right? So what we need to do then is learn to discern the difference in the energy. People want a quick and convenient way to awaken, but there's a price to pay for that. And sometimes we have to learn things the hard way, even though we think initially that we're choosing the easy path. When people are unaware, they engage in processes that leave their energy body wide open to manipulation and infiltration by other thought forms and beings and other people's belief systems, and it's like a programming or a brainwashing in a sense. So we have to learn to protect our body, all levels of it, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. We must learn that this is a sacred vessel. It houses our spirit, our soul. It's ours, not somebody else's. And it shouldn't be somebody else's energy, someone else's thoughts and projections. We must learn to tune into our own soul, to embody our own being, to be soul guided then. But we can't do that in a quick ceremony. It requires that we keep our physical vessel intact and healthy, that we heal our emotional wounds and traumas, and that we free our mind from society programming that comes, the programming that comes through society, through our culture, through our governments and through our TVs. Because actually we've all been brainwashed and conditioned to think and behave in certain ways and to believe certain things. And until we wake up, once we wake up fully, let me rephrase that. Once we wake up at each incremental step along the way, there are changes that we need to make, if that is a genuine awakening. Our spiritual awakening then becomes inconvenient because we can't do the things in society that we used to do. We can't just go along with things like we used to do, because now our truth and our integrity is involved. We can't be incongruent. We can't say one thing and then do something else. There has to be integrity and alignment in everything. Truth, it's truth. And the more that we awaken into the light, the more you can see into the darkness. That's the exciting part, even though some of it is pretty dark and horrific. You wouldn't want to look at it. But it's actually true that the more light you can hold, the more darkness you can see. And once you see that stuff, you know what's behind it. You can see the agenda so much more clearly. And then when you see that, how could you possibly participate and support it any longer? Now I know there are many things that I can't participate in anymore, now that I know what I know. And there are things that I used to do that I love to do. But as soon as I know what it's all about, I literally have to pull my energy back, withdraw from it. I can no longer participate. And that's the problem with so much of the New Age stuff that's out there. Much of it is actually feeding a dark energy system. So I talk about the false ascension matrix, I talk about the starseed trap, and starseed consciousness, how it gets trapped. I have some upcoming classes running very soon, starting on the 27th actually. We're going to be looking at intuition and discernment, how to discern what is truth and not. And in upcoming classes, I'm going to go more into the false ascension matrix and the starseed traps and all of these other things that are going on here. These things that feed this dark energy system. So if you're interested in that, I'll put the link below. You can also DM me to join me on those classes. So where am I on my notes now? Okay, so I was talking about the problem with much of this New Age stuff that we see, that people don't realize is feeding the dark energy, the dark system, if you like, dark energy system, even when it sounds like it's all love and light on the surface. But the thing is, people just don't know, or they can't see where, when they put their energy into something, they think it's that because the words say all the right things, but they can't see where the energy is being siphoned to. And that is a very real thing. People just don't know that. That's the problem. It's not much talked about. Or they kind of know it, but they're not willing to give up the things that they like to do. So they ignore it because it's inconvenient. Those bits of truth are inconvenient. The moon is not what it seems to be. If you fully understood what's really going on with that, you could no longer participate in these moon ceremonies, the new moon, the full moon. It's one of the things I had to give up when I discovered it. The Catholic Church is not holy. The Vatican holds many, many dark secrets. Buddhism has its dark side. Hollywood has its dark side. Politics has its dark side. The music industry, the fashion industry, all of it is involved somewhere along the line. Let me say most of it, right? Because I don't know every single one. But most, let me say maybe 85, 90%, I don't know, but a lot, is involved somewhere along the line with Satanism. You can see that in the symbols that are used everywhere. It's connected with human trafficking, child sex trafficking, pedophilia. All of that is involved in these things that we have grown accustomed to and we like. We like to go to the movies and watch these celebrity elites. We like to watch them on the red carpet. We like to look at the royal family. All of these things that we've done, when you realise what's really going on behind them, how can you continue to support that? I mean, I can't hardly even watch a movie anymore because I look at these people and I know what's going on behind the scenes and it sickens me. I can't watch it. And that is inconvenient to me. It's causing me to change my life, which is exactly what an awakening is meant to do. We are meant to change. If people truly wanted to wake up and bring change to this planet so that we could all live in the new earth, the Garden of Eden, so to speak, then they would have to face the fact. The truth is, these things are happening under our nose. As you awaken, you can see it. But because it's dark and ugly, people don't want to look. They don't want to, accept that these things are going on, and they're participating by purchasing things or going to look at things, They want to deny its existence because they can't believe it, or in fact they choose not to. It's inconvenient to wake up and see it because everything has to change. And you have to be strong in order to hold this level of truth and witnessing. And it changes you. And it's meant to. And sometimes you lose your loved ones and your family, and you're different within society because you can't go along with the BS that everyone is engaged with and following. So we say we want to wake up, but it's inconvenient to change. It's inconvenient to know what we know. And this is why many people actually go back to sleep. Because when you know that something is wrong and you engage with it anyway, you're making that choice to align to that energetically. Whether or not you believe that God is witnessing and God sees all, it doesn't matter. The point is, if you know something is feeding a dark agenda like pedophilia or child trafficking or the grooming of children, if you know that that's what's going on with that and you still choose to engage with it, you're in alignment with it now. You're working with the dark side now. Many people don't want to change. They don't want to face this inconvenient truth. And that's why we are in this place right now, where we are on this planet, where we are at risk of being seriously, fully controlled and suppressed by the dark in the form of governments and those unelected 3-letter organisations. So the question is, will you commit to waking up fully and changing and stopping doing the things that feed this dark, no matter how much you used to like doing them with your friends, no matter how inconvenient it is to go along, how convenient it is to go along with your family and friends in the way that you used to do things? Will you stand up and say, I can't do that anymore because I've realised there's some dark stuff going on and I don't want to feed the dark? Will you have the courage to stand up and do that and say that? And I know this is a big ask, but If you say that you want to awaken spiritually and you want to be able to see everything and be aware of everything, well, this is what it takes, and it can be inconvenient. Your friends, your family, they may be fully immersed in that program. They maybe can't see it. Maybe they don't want to see it because they know that if they fully commit to waking up and seeing the truth in everything, that they will have to change too, and maybe it's just too inconvenient. And that's really where we find ourselves now. I have lost friends over the time that I've been talking about this for 25 years. They thought I was bonkers, for sure. I'm grateful that I haven't lost my family. They've stood with me through this. I would say that we have a very awakened family now, and I'm very grateful for that. But I have had to give up a lot. There's a lot of things I can't do because I won't feed that dark agenda anymore. And yes, it's been inconvenient, but I will stand by truth, because truth is everything to me. Truth, sovereignty, and liberation. That's what I stand for. So I hope that you will join me on the right side of the tracks. I would love it if you would join me in my upcoming classes where I will talk much more about this. I also have my Worthy and Wealthy Woman course starting up again soon, all about self-worth, because this is so important. Our self-worth is everything, actually. Well, one of the things. Self-worth, self-love, self-belief, self-trust, all of these things is what I aim to help people to develop so that they're very strong. They have a strong spiritual backbone to stand up and live their purpose. So I hope that you might choose to join me on some of my courses and programs or classes. If you want any details, just DM me and you'll find links to this in my bio and probably down below this video too. Well, that's it from me. The inconvenient truth of the awakening process. I'll see you again next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.